One of the biggest challenges for those reentering society after incarceration is finding stable employment. Stigma, lack of work experience, and gaps in skills can create barriers to getting hired. Kenneth, Scott, and Will share their experiences in finding a job and the resources available to help overcome these obstacles. Well, gentlemen, thank you for being here. One of the biggest things or the biggest challenges I say that people that are returning back to society have is employment. Can you tell me what were some of the biggest challenges you had or some of the biggest barriers faced when you're trying to find work?
I'll say for me, shout out to Wake LRC. That was my first real employer that I got was through Wake LRC. And the great part about it now, they have even more things that they do. When I came, I was a vet, so I went to the veterans rep, and Mr. Derek went hand in foot with me to find a job. I am a felon, so it wasn't an easy thing to happen, but I did do Step Up Ministries, which is a great organization. And I took some classes through them. But when I went to Wake LRC and went to the Veterans Department, Derek knew what my background was in working before I was incarcerated. And when I say he went 10 toes down to make sure that I was employed or I had a chance to be employed with a job, a lifelong job, or a job that was meaningful employment or meaningful money, he did that. Because I did have some jobs here and there, temp agencies, and that's kind of what's going to happen. I think a lot when guys get out, you know, they're going to do the temp agencies, they're going to do the lower paying, back-breaking jobs. But as like I said, as I went to Derek, you know, at Wake LRC, the veterans rep, he reached out to several different jobs and then found out what my background is and reached out to a particular job that gave me a chance that I sit down in front of, and they gave me the chance. Because like one of my mottos was that I always told myself is to every 100 no, I only needed one yes. And that job gave me a chance to make a living.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Brother Scott, let me ask you the same question. What were some of the challenges you faced when finding employment? Now, I know you're an employer yourself,
Right.
but what were some of the challenges you faced?
Honestly, Mr. J, I really didn't have no challenges because I prepared myself before I even got out of prison. Before I got out, I was already preparing myself for, job searching and stuff like that. I connected with a lot of guys in prison like Will and Malik and other guys that I know that was out already. And I kind of asked questions. So my transition when it came to job placement already started like 10 years ago. I didn't wait till I went out the door and started looking for jobs. I started right there when I was in prison. Started looking, even though I didn't know I was going to get out. But I still had hope that one day that I will find a job, and I wanted to be prepared. So I say this right here for guys and females that's incarcerated, that there's a lot of resources out here. So connect with the resources that while you're in prison, so that you're able to, get out and just start running. So that's what I would say to people that's looking for jobs. Like I said, I had Straight Talk Support Group. I was supposed to work there before COVID came along and took all, locked us down. We was in prison and locked us down, so we couldn't really do work release no more. But that was my work release spot that I was gonna go to, when I made work release. But like I said, COVID came and it stopped all that. So like I said, I prepared myself early. I didn't wait till the last minute, So I suggest that most people that's incarcerated need to do that. Don't wait till the last minute. Prepare yourself now.
So start preparing yourself mentally and for work.
Yeah, for work. I mean, because it's ready around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to work and want to survive out here in this world, you got to prepare yourself early. You can't wait till the last minute. And most people wait till the last minute to be able to do anything.
Yeah,
and it don't work like that out here.
Because there's a difference between being prepared and being ready.
Right.
Because you can have all the equipment, you can have all the tools, right, but you may not be emotionally ready to jump in. Yeah. So that's a great point. And if you don't mind, now, Will, you said something in our conversation before that was that stuck with me. I know you're used to taking mug shots, so when you're inside, you're mean mugging and things. But can you tell me what transition or what has to change when you come out and reintegrate?
Networking. I realized early on in prison that I got some terrible advice. A guy that had been in prison 14 years as opposed to my third year in prison, his advice to me was get your mind where your behind is. In other words, he said, I could tell that you a rookie at this. You got a long sentence. You got natural life. You need to get your mind out of the streets and get your mind here in the prison. And I asked him, what makes you think my mind is not here? He said, I see you get all these pictures from your friends. You get a lot of mail, which is kind of typical for people when they first get their sentence. And I could just tell you're not here enough. And at the time I had my own cell. I didn't have to share space with anybody. And I thought about that and I rejected that. I deleted that thought because prison wasn't where I wanted to be. So I kept my mind out the street, out of prison into the street. Every time I watched a movie, it could have been a cartoon. I imagined a role that I would play in what I saw. If I saw a movie about a guy working in a steel mill, in a factory, I was working in there. So subconsciously, I was training myself to be out of prison with a supervisor and coworkers. And other guys who had did a long time compared to my time would always remind me that that's going to drive you crazy because you keep imagining, you have the audacity to keep imagining yourself outside of this place. And I refuse to accept that advice. Also, I'm a highly disciplined person. I exercised religiously in prison, right? And I told myself one day, with my discipline and my imagination, it's nothing I can't do. Nobody's going to outwork me, whatever job I get. They just ain't going to be in the kind of shape to outwork me. I might not know how to do the job, but you could teach me anything. My first interview when I was in prison for work release was to work at a hog plant in Burlington, North Carolina. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. The only time I seen a hog was Porky Pig on the Muppets, right? I never seen a real live hog. But when I interviewed for that job, my authenticity, my discipline, and my work ethic, I was told by the interviewers, that's what got me the job. I told them, look, I don't have no work experience. At the time, I had been in prison 22 years. I'm up for work release. I said, I never had a job before, but I know how to do what I'm told. I know how to get along with others. And I bet you I could outwork everybody at your plant. They gave me the job and that held true. And I learned some things about myself that, man, if you're willing to hustle, if you're willing to work hard, and you're willing to be honest about what you don't know, people are impressed by that. Always ask questions. And I transferred my discipline from exercising, rain, sleet, or snow, 100 degrees or 22 degrees. If they opened that yard, I went out there to exercise. So why would I have any excuse about starting from anybody's bottom and build my way up to the top? And when I bottled all that up, I took it with me everywhere I went. Then I realized, I don't want to be told what to do. I want to work for myself. I'm always dreaming and imagining what that would look like. Me and this brother right here started our own landscaping company. We became second chance employers. So we know the mindsets that we're up against. What I would tell other employers that they get when they hire somebody that's been incarcerated is you get a unique opportunity to take a piece of coal and participate in making it a diamond, because those guys are so raw. With the right type of communication and the right care and concern, you will get the best out of them. But most employers who've never been to prison, they don't understand that. So they work contrary to that. The way they communicate, the way they try to dictate what they want done, the way they try to articulate it is counterproductive to that type of individual. And because we know that, man, we keep challenging people coming out of prison, man, to be the best person they could be. Right. And if you could be the best person you can be, and you could attach your value to your work, then your work is going to reflect you. And that's a dynamic that's not taught in prison. In prison, you just do what you're told robotically, right? And if you do that well enough, then you won't have no problems. You're not going to get out earlier. You just won't have any problems. And
After 25 years, if I had accepted that, I would just methodically go through a job, do what I'm told, clock in, clock out. And that would be too much like prison all over again. So my mindset was shaped from a myriad of people that had been in and out, and from me having an imagination and my support group, my mother and my sister, they kept pumping me with literature that I thought wasn't even relevant to me during my time. Why are you sending me this? It's not helpful for right now, but by and by, those seeds were planted. And when I got out, all that stuff kind of bear fruit for me.
Wow. This is good. And like you said, now, there's going to be employers watching this. So what would you tell an employer about some of the things that may be misconstrued, like not smiling or eating by yourself? So what are some of those things that you may come out with that may cause confusion or misunderstanding from an employer?
I would say to myself as an employer and other employers that I know that even teeter on, man, I'm not so sure, but I want to try that. I want to hire guys and males and females that have been in prison. I don't know what I'm going to get from that. I would say develop a one-on-one rapport with that individual. Something off the record. Get with that person outside of the office one-on-one and ask them, who are you? What do you want to do with your life?
Right.
You just want a paycheck? You just want a whole bunch of hours?
Yeah.
You want to be my overtime person? Or do you want to develop something for yourself from where you are right now? And if any employer is that real and authentic off the rip, the person that's been in prison, because if you've been in prison, one thing we could smell through is bull crap. If you come that real and authentic, you're going to get something so uniquely different from that individual. He might outwork your whole team. You might have to tell, man, slow down, because he's going to feel safe with that. I could be myself with you. The door is open for him to communicate where, look, when I eat lunch on break, I'm not over there by myself because I got issue with somebody else. I finally get a chance to eat in the lunchroom just by myself. In prison, I couldn't pick my table. They told me where I was going to sit and eat. So I hope that don't make anybody feel like I'm thinking about going postal, coming back in here and harming somebody. So when you have those kind of conversations, if you're an employer and it's worth it to you, you will have those kind of conversations now that you're aware of it. But if it's just about numbers and the bottom line and all of that, you don't care to connect. People who've been in prison need to feel like they are making a connection with something. And if it's the job, if it's the employer, the manager, the CEO, the supervisor, if they know that the connection is the key to unlocking the greatest level of productivity, I believe they'd assume that position a lot more often.
Yeah. Or just ask the individual, how you doing?
Yeah.
That's all. Just say, how you doing? You know?
The humanizing.
Yeah.
Humanizing.
Yeah, because you don't get that in prison.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You know, you don't get that in prison. Just to say, man, how you doing, man?
And something
I just
simple
want
as
to
that.
stop by to see how you doing. That's all.
So then, as an employer, if I see someone like eating by themselves and I know they have a background, so it'd be up to me to ask them, why do you eat by yourself? Instead of assuming that they're standoffish.
Please.
So okay,
Yeah.
so that's a
Yeah,
big key.
yeah, ask them.
Yeah.
Ask them.
It was funny you saying that, man, because right off my first job during that interview that Derek got me, that was the question he asked me. He said, okay, I see you, the qualifications. He said, but who are you now? That was the question he asked me in the interview. Who are you now? I can see you do the job. You got 8 years background, but who are you now? So it was funny you said that. He asked that question in the interview.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. I'll come to you first, Kenneth. How did you overcome the employment hesitation or stigma related to your incarceration?
I mean, it's just like Will said, I had self-worth. So I didn't let, even though it may look like, first of all, I was willing to work any job. So I eliminated the, I won't work no job. So with that mindset, I built myself up all the way up to I own my own company. I ended up buying my own potato chip truck and owning my own company for myself from jobs. So I never sit back and settle. And after owning my own truck, I became a second chance employer, like he said, because I put a guy on my truck and I went back to school and got my CDLs and then I jumped over the road. So I never, once I got something done, that's enough. Mm-hmm. I always said I can do more. So from that, I would do more. So that's how I built myself up. I just It's like they said, I never would sit and say, all right, I'm good now, I got a job. It was always, how can I do more? How can I get better?
Yeah.
Now, you guys seem to have a tight knit that seems to be really helping each other out. So like peer mentoring, do you guys provide peer mentoring? Because that seems like one of the critical things that's needed to have a successful reintegration. Do you provide peer mentoring, or how will people access that?
Oh, absolutely. We all are peer support specialists, and we have different mediums that we do that through. Wounded Healers is an organization that it's a group of guys who have been incarcerated that are certified peer support specialists that can be invited to build a circle of support around that individual. When they get released, they have a circle of support to help them every step of the way in attaining ID, credentials. How do I even fill out an application? How do I even dress for an interview? I work with an organization in Durham called Step Up. He talked about Step Up Raleigh, where I actually taught how to interview, how to answer the question, have you ever been convicted of a crime before? It's so many aspects we do that by. We're individual peer support contractors. People can contact us on our website, 58 Years of Prison and Purpose, and our own individual email addresses when they say, hey, look, I got a brother, a husband, a son, a daughter. They're coming home. I don't know what to do. I need help. I need somebody I could talk to about that. I need counsel. I need guidance. I need to know that I could vent with somebody. We're available for that in a myriad of ways, because we know that the worst thing that could be done is to pretend like we know how to relate to each other when we don't. And we try to inspire everybody to know, he said it best. It's not just about you. Yeah, you did your time. You're home. You got these realities. You need employment and all that. But listen, if you think a little less about yourself and about how to help somebody else, then it's going to create a momentum, and it's going to help you get where you're going. Because with momentum, when you can't move no more, the inertia is going to push you in the direction that you need to go. And it's hard to believe in that. It's hard. If you don't have imagination, it's hard, because life says immediately you need clothes, you need shelter, you need a job, and you got a parole officer saying you owe some restitution. Now, all this hope, fuzzy hope and help stuff that y'all talking about, that's not getting it done for me right now. We got to grab guys by the shoulders and say, time out, man. You done yet? You think we weren't faced with all of that? We got you. Yeah. We got to go collectively to talk to your PO. We with you. We're not just telling you what to do. We're literally with you while it's getting done. And that's priceless.
And that's starting even at the prison. We go to the prison still. Yeah. We go inside the prison and even catch these guys before they hit in the streets again, to give them that hope of, wow, those guys was actually sitting where I'm sitting, right, and they coming right back in here to talk to us before we get out to give us hope and understanding. Because the worst thing you can do as a peer support is be fake or phony or not genuine.
Absolutely.
If a person think for 1 minute you're doing your job strictly to do your job just on the basis of, okay, well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, or I helped them out, and it wasn't real, they see right through that. Yeah. That's the first thing they do, is see right through when you're saying you're going to do something for somebody, but the meaning or what you're doing it for is not the right reason. It's seen right through, right, and you'll lose them. That quick, they're gone. Because they'll know they've been BS'd so much down the line in doing things that they can see right through somebody who's doing it for the wrong reasons.
Wow. And they'll test you too. Oh, they'll test your sincerity. Yeah. Yeah. I imagine it to an adopted kid who's been in an institution. You appear to be a loving family. Like, what you want to love me for? I'm going to test that love, because I want to get it over with as soon as possible. Because now we're not going to be here a few years, and I realize later, I'd rather go back to the institution. So I'm going to test your love for me.
See what you really about.
I'm going to see how much you really love me.
Well, all three of you are success stories. But what stood out to me, and I think what stood out to the audience, is that the way you see employment. You know, it's a progressive way you see that. So how do you help somebody who don't have that perspective? They just think about get a job, but they're not thinking, they're not forward thinking. You know, I know you meet them where they are, but what would you say to someone who's, I just want to get a paycheck, and not looking at it as a tool to reunite with their family, or a tool, you know? So longevity.
first of all, we know we can't help everybody. We know that. Right. They have to be compliant and participate. And we do our due diligence and we deal with this every day. We remind guys and girls that your value is bigger than the place that you work at. Yeah. You are the gift to that place that you work at. Now, you can represent that, or you could turn that into a lie. It's up to you. Some people, they just want to check. Whether they've been to prison or not, they just want to check. But for those of us who've been incarcerated, we try to remind them your value says a lot by how you do whatever you do. And as your value increases, you start rethinking what you're doing right now, because you might want to do more. But if that's not their mindset, if we can't impart that mindset, then we've done the best that we can. And we honestly, we don't always have success stories. Everybody don't come out of this triangle or any triangle better. Some come out and find a place in the space that their mindset suggests, because that's where they are. And we look at each other, we say, what did we do wrong? What could we do different? Yeah. And we got to be honest. Like, sometimes, man, that's the best we could do.
If your self-care in place, a paycheck don't mean nothing. Your self-care is more important than that. Don't get me wrong. Everybody get a check, but if your self-care is not in place, the check ain't gonna help you out. No, I mean, you just go spend your money. You ain't gonna work your money like you're supposed to work your money. Your money gonna work you. You gotta have self-care, man. That's number one thing. Take care of yourself.
How could I have self-care if, when in prison, if I miss too many days at my job, they're gonna take me off the job? But I have a real bad cold or a toothache, or I sprain my ankle, and they're telling me report to work. If I don't go to work, they're gonna take me out of the job and put somebody else in the job. So that's a foreign language to me when you talk about self-care, because prison didn't. Self-care, you should have been caring for yourself before you came to prison. You better put your clothes on and get to your assignment. So this is a strange language when I'm hearing that from these guys now. But I always say, they've been in prison too. Maybe that language that they speaking is not from some lofty book, self-care, self-help book that they read from experience.
Yeah. Well, I know we're a little short on time in this segment, but one of the key things that you said, well, all this is good, but what I want to point out is meeting people where they are and being honest where they are, not resenting that they're there. But if you have somebody who just want a paycheck, then that's as far as you can go. But you find that person who can go further, you help them to go with their journey, and you walk with them. So you even have a podcast that if somebody needed help right away, right? They have that podcast. Mm-hmm. The last question I'll ask, what resources or programs were most helpful to you when preparing you for employment?
For me, it was Straight Talk support group. Yeah, that's why I work at now. Also, even though I'm a peer support specialist, a community health worker, and a second chance employer, but I also work at Straight Talk. And to see a lot of guys that come in there that's been incarcerated come in, I'm able to sit down with these guys sometime and find out exactly what type of resources that they need and where they want to go when it comes to work.
I know we're talking about resources, but this would be a great time for me to mention the Wake Local Reentry Council, because that's what we do. We serve over 300 people a year that are returning, and we want to help them succeed, with employment, also with basic needs. They may need transportation, but whatever, we meet them where they are, but we can't do what we do without people like you that know where they, that can help us meet them where they are. You do a great job in calling our people who are going for employment. Call them, hey, are you ready? Do you have transportation? Keeping them encouraged, those things like that. So it's invaluable what we're doing, and I can't wait for people to start utilizing you even more, because we need everyone to help. We can't succeed as a nation unless we had a contribution of all those people that are returning, because they're coming home, and they have the support that they need. Each place or each county have a reentry council, that they can reach out to and see what services they have for returning citizens.
I think we have a metaphorical boot camp we run people to. The sooner we could get to them, we could find out what they really want to do. And when we find out what they really want to do, we could administer the right support. Because a lot of times, man, we want more for them than they want for themselves. And we find out that we're doing them a disservice. We're putting them in a position that we think is going to help them succeed and win, but that's not what they really want. And the sooner we could ascertain that information, the better we could apply what we trying to give away to them so they could get where they trying to go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, guys. This is invaluable information. You're going to help a lot of people.
We want to, man.
We do.
That's just who we are. We assigned ourselves to that while we were inside, and we ain't gonna stop till the casket drop, man.
And the last thing I'll say, because I mean, all the work you do is great, but and there's sometimes we can find as people the way they think cause criminal activity, and you have something that help that. Can you?
We have SWIT. It's called Success While in Transition. SWIT is the acronym. That's a opportunity, a curriculum that we teach at 2 transitional houses at this point. People get released. They don't have a place to go per se. They get assigned to transitional houses. Myself and Tommy Green, we go into these transitional houses and we teach code switching or life skills. And through that curriculum, we get to the root of that person's makeup, their mindset, and we give them opportunity to reach differently to another mindset if they so want it. But once again, some individuals just want a housing. They want to get out of the elements. They don't want SWIT. But for those who do, we help them thrive. They go through SWIT. They become peer support specialists. They end up wanting to own their own businesses, and they just want to keep thriving and keep striving. And we with them all the way through.